Outside WEMF, Dr. Trance hanging out with us. Just finished your 10-year anniversary set. Can you tell us a little bit about what you played?
I pulled out, I went through my record collection, well, I went through some of it, and I started pulling out the biggest anthems that I have played at WEMF. I left out some of the very early stuff because that was before the first Destiny 3-day, but the stuff that was the absolute biggest, System F, Out of the Blue, Binary Finery, 1999, because I couldn't find 1998, and I completely lost 2000 because I don't remember what I did that year. Stuff like that, Brown Acid, that's a track that I had exclusively, and other stuff that, yes, so every song that I played, every song that Ryan played was a touchstone of one of the years of WEMF. My only disappointment was that for some reason, I don't know where it is, I couldn't find the copy of my copy of I Am Ready, which was the very first 3-day 10 years ago, that long 3-minute breakdown and build up again in the song. And when actually literally the minute the song hit the build-up, a tornado touched down a quarter of a mile away and everything went just tumbling down. I wanted to start with that, but unfortunately I couldn't find it. But I'm very happy with the set. I think it brought back some good memories for a lot of people.
So what's progressed over the last 10 years? How has WEMF and the rave culture in general progressed?
Well, the good news is that WEMF continues to be the touchstone of the rave culture in Canada. It is still an independent event. It is still held somewhere else besides a nightclub, and it gives back probably the most organized festival in North America that ever's been organizing in North America. Maybe outside of, this kind of festival. Burning Man obviously would be something different. That's the good news. The bad news is there is no scene anymore. It's pretty well over. It's all gone into the clubs, which is a sign of popularity of the music. And that's all well and good, but when I got into this scene, one of the main reasons I got into it is because I didn't like hanging out in clubs. Me being a DJ was an accident. Me being a promoter was an accident. I was a party goer. I loved the scene. I loved the fact that it was held in spaces that weren't supposed to be used for parties. I loved the fact that the people there were there for almost a communal thing. I would very, very highly recommend a book called Insider's Overview. What the hell is it called? The subtitles. It's by Jimmy Fritz. He's from Victoria. And for some reason the name of the book escapes me. Sorry, I'm a bit still tired from that. But Rave Culture, an Insider's Overview. It really explains what raves were about. The communalness, the tribalness of it, everything else. And for a very brief moment, that's what the scene here in Toronto and around Canada was like. That moment is moved on. Like so many things, we all move on. Nobody's the same as they were 10 years ago. I miss it. I'm very honored and privileged to have been a part of it, and I'm glad it was part of my life. And I will always continue to play for whoever wants me to play my kind of music, because I don't do it for a living. I have a job. I've got many jobs, but I love the music. I love playing the music for people who like the music and want to dance to it.
Looking back on the last few years, since you started DJing, what have been some of the interesting events that have gone on, and where have they taken place?
Oh boy, there have been so many. Let's see, there's the airplane hangar ones, the Atlantis ones, the first Atlantis at the Science Center with all the exhibits open all night. There was the first Destiny at the Honey Pot, which was an outdoor venue, and not the first time it had been held. There were some disasters too. When I was with a group called Nitrous, we did a party that ended up being called the Mud Rave. It rained solid for 2 weeks prior to this party that we put together in a field. It's like on a farm actually outside of Markham. We had one of our partners was an architect, and he had designed this elaborate setup. It would have been amazing, but the ground was so wet that when all the trucks drove on the field, they sunk, and wherever they sunk is where everything got set up. That's memorable. The World Electronic Music Festival on Christian Island, probably my favorite festival of all time, simply because the Saturday of that festival during the day was the most perfect weather and the most perfect atmosphere I've ever seen as far as a rave goes. Imagine a mile or more of white sandy beaches, a cloudless day with a temperature around 80, and all, as far as the eye can see, tents set up on the beaches, all flying their different colors, all different kinds of music coming out, people hanging out on the sand, swimming in the water. I'm thinking to myself, and this is just at the beach part of the festival. This is what it's all about. This is what, like, you go in, you set up a little village for a weekend, and you come back the next week, there's nothing there. It's just the sand, the beach again. And a lot of garbage, but that's another story. And I've had some very memorable times. I played at a festival in West Virginia, on the West Virginia-Pennsylvania border, where I was doing a sunrise set, trying to create a mood, and some guy jumped on stage wearing his socks and his underwear, started putting his hands down his pants. Under normal circumstances, I think it's wonderful if someone wants to expose their shortcomings to the world. But I was really trying to create a mood, so I asked him to leave, and he lunged at me and knocked me into the mixing board, and the needle went flying across the turntable. And I just turned around, I picked him up in a bear hug. I walked him to the back of the stage, which is about maybe 3 feet off the ground, and I threw him off the stage so he landed on his back. I heard about that incident for the next, like, 5 years. I got gigs out of it. People, oh man, I saw what you did. That was so cool.
As you said, everything progresses. One of the things that have progressed of late is Pride. And Toronto just had their latest Pride Festival. You were involved in that. Were you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were involved in that. I remember my girlfriend was there. She said she saw you and Takuzi. Just tell us a little bit about how important the electronic music scene is to gay pride in Canada.
It's interesting because, for the most part, the kind of music that are played, again, I don't hang out in clubs, I really don't know, I just know who plays. The kind of music that's played in gay clubs is usually pretty circuity and is not very progressive anymore. Takuzi's changed that a bit now that he's playing in several clubs. But as far as the electronicness of the Pride Festival itself, I that stage, the Church and Wellesley stage, I think 4 years ago, just as one of the DJs on the lineup. One of the guys on the board of directors of Pride, who was then in charge of entertainment, used to be a record promoter when I was at CFNY, and I played. I was followed by karaoke, so you can imagine what that was like. But he called me the following year and he said, "Do you want to do it again?" And I said, I was with OneGroove.com at the time, and I said, "How about if we make it a One Groove stage? We'll get all different kinds of music, and we'll do the whole thing as a One Groove stage." He said, "Fine, that's less for me to do. Put it together." And although it hasn't exactly worked out, it's evolved from that. The last 3 years has come down to me, Takuzi, Jello, and Glenn Vernon doing that stage. And the reason it's so successful, I think, is because people are there to dance, to hear the music, to party. Whereas in the beer gardens, they pack them in so much that they can only stand around and drink beer and feel each other's biceps. Well, even some of the women, I guess. And they can't really get a party atmosphere going. But on the street, it's a party atmosphere. And that, year after year after year, consistently, is probably the best crowd I played.
Just quickly to finish up, what can we look forward to you in the future?
I have in my back pocket, actually, I should give it to you, you can play it. I have a single that I've done, a track I've done with St. Pete and Geo, Dr. Gasp, Dr. Geo and St. Pete. That is getting, from the demo we were giving out, has been getting extraordinarily good response. So I think that Ryan and Tyler Cho, who own a label, are going to test release it on a white label and see what happens. Chris Shepard has already told Gio that he wants an edit to play on his show. And as far as the electronic music scene, that's the next thing. I want to do more work with Peter. St. Pete is an absolutely brilliant producer. And he and I think a lot the same about how songs should sound. Otherwise, you can see me upon occasion with my fellow improvisers at the Bad Dog Theater in Toronto. I've been studying and performing comedy improv for about a year and a half now. And keeps my right brain busy when I'm not DJing.